Let's face it, he's the franchise.
There's the record for Peyton Manning. Patrick Mahomes, 50 touchdowns in a single season.
I have not seen that kind of speed, that kind of strength in one running back, maybe ever in my lifetime.
Let's talk most valuable players. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes. We've seen records broken and legacies made, but is there an MVP curse in recent history? Since Kurt Warner in 1999, not a single MVP has hoisted a Lombardi Trophy in the same season. Not to mention a brutal 0-9 Super Bowl record in that time span. So what exactly happened to every MVP since 2000?
Kurt straight back to pass, rolls right, fires for Marshall, he's open, got it, 5, touchdown, yes. Marshall Faulk.
The co-star of the greatest show on turf, Marshall Faulk, took center stage in 2000. The reigning Offensive Player of the Year amassed a then-record 26 scores in just 14 games for the league's best offense. The 10-6 Rams snuck into the wild card round, where Faulk and Kurt Warner led a furious fourth-quarter comeback against the Saints. Faulk's fourth-quarter scores got the defending champs within 3, but they couldn't finish, as a muffed punt sealed their fate in New Orleans. But if you think that deterred football's best backfield, think again.
Stands in, fires the slant. Marshall Faulk's got it, breaks the tackle. He's in the clear. At the 30, got a block. 20 to the 10, 5, and he got it. In. Yeah. Touchdown, Marshall Faulk.
This dynamic duo finished 1-2 in MVP voting in 2001, with Warner getting the nod. For the second time in 3 years, the undrafted star was the NFL's most prolific QB. Warner threw for a career-high 4,800 yards while tossing 36 touchdowns. With their swagger back, the 14-2 Rams waltzed to another NFC title. But in the Super Bowl, Warner and the Rams' offense were held in check by Bill Belichick and the upstart Patriots.
Ball has to let it go, picked off. Ty Law down the sidelines, touchdown. Here comes one of greater importance if he makes it, and it's right down the pipe. No time on the clock, and the Patriots have won Super Bowl 36.
Meanwhile, Rich Gannon was rocketing to stardom. After 12 forgettable seasons, the 37-year-old found his groove with the Raiders, catapulting from part-time starter to MVP in 2002. Gannon led the league with over 4,600 passing yards, narrowly edging out Brett Favre for the honors. In the postseason, he blew past AFC opponents, throwing 5 scores and completing nearly 70% of his passes.
Gannon, pump fake, down the sideline.
But the Raiders hit a wall in Super Bowl 37 as Tampa Bay's top-ranked defense dominated. Gannon threw 5 interceptions, 3 of which were returned for touchdowns.
Was right through that double team.
3rd and 18, and this is going to write a finish. Derrick Brooks does it to cement the Super Bowl.
2003 was so stacked with talent, there couldn't just be one MVP. Instead, quarterbacks Peyton Manning and Steve McNair shared the honors, while Tom Brady and 2,000-yard rusher Jamal Lewis also got double-digit vote shares.
McNair has time, throws left corner for Bennett in the end zone.
Touchdown!
Touchdown! Titans!
Let's start with McNair, who produced the best season of his career. He passed for over 3,200 yards and 28 total scores, leading Tennessee to a 12-4 record. Air McNair squeaked by the Ravens in the wildcard round, but couldn't outrun New England's top-ranked defense, getting sacked 3 times and stalling in the fourth quarter. Then there was Peyton Manning, who paced the league in passing.
Pump fake, looks to the end zone, throws, touchdown, Clark! A club record, 6 touchdown passes for Peyton Manning.
It was business as usual for the Sheriff, who notched his 5th straight 4,000-yard, 25 TD season. In the wild card round, Manning dropped 5 touchdowns on the Broncos, including 4 in the first half. Then he broke the hearts of Chiefs fans, leading Indy to a 38-31 win at Arrowhead. But it was a different story in Foxborough. Manning was steamrolled by the Patriots in the AFC title game. He threw 4 interceptions, including back-to-back picks in the first half.
Buys him time, now on a roll and throws, and it is intercepted. Ty Law picks it off.
But man, would Peyton respond the next year.
And Manning, he's got it! Manning's got the record! Peyton Peyton Manning has captured a piece of NFL history.
In 2004, Manning firmly established himself as the league's best passer, throwing a then-record 49 touchdowns. He again earned MVP, this time in a landslide, garnering 98% of the vote. Manning threw at least 5 touchdowns on 4 separate occasions, including a 6 TD performance in just 3 quarters against the Lions. And he did all this while attempting a career low in passes over a full season. Meanwhile, in a repeat of 2003, the 12-4 Colts trounced Denver in the wild card round before a drubbing by New England sent them home early. Indy would muster just 3 points against Belichick's defense.
It was all about their offense, but in this big game, they couldn't get it done.
There's the interception, Rodney Harrison, and what a fitting close to this one.
In 2005, the spotlight shifted back to the trenches as history was being made in Seattle.
Alexander, wide open. The record is yours.
Sean Alexander pulverized defenses, rushing for a league-best 1,880 yards and a record 28 total touchdowns. He beat out Manning and Brady in the MVP race, netting 38% of the vote and paving the way for Seattle's first 13-win season. Alexander was injured in the first round, but the MVP would return in full force for the NFC Championship. He rushed 32 times for 132 yards and 2 scores before netting 95 yards in a Super Bowl 40 loss. But as fate would have it, Alexander's single-season record would stand for just a year thanks to this guy.
Tomlinson, off the left side, Tomlinson sidesteps. Hello, history books.
LaDAINIAN Tomlinson raised the bar for rushing excellence, totaling 28 scores on the ground and 31 overall, both all-time records. LT topped Alexander's mark in just 13 games, too. A week later, he broke the single-season scoring mark that had stood for 46 years. Tomlinson powered the Chargers to a franchise-best 14-2 record, securing the MVP with 88% of the vote.
Rivers hands it off. Tomlinson guns it to the left side, and down the sideline he goes. Midfield, 40, 30, cutback, 20, 15, 10. He is gone!
In the divisional round, Tomlinson was the offense, racking up 123 yards and 2 scores against a stout New England defense. But it wasn't enough. The Patriots would vanquish yet another MVP in 2006, crushing San Diego's Super Bowl dreams.
54 yards, and Kading, it better hook in a hurry. It doesn't.
And a bitter defeat for the San Diego Chargers.
And Tomlinson and Hobbs seem to have a little angry exchange.
New England had quite the year in 2007. You may have heard about it.
Brady with time, going back again to Moss. Touchdown, Patriots.
He has orchestrated a team that has gone undefeated, 16-0.
To call Brady the MVP is an understatement. At times, it just felt unfair as he passed for a then-record 50 touchdowns, breaking numerous records while toying with opposing secondaries. In Week 7, the GOAT casually tossed 6 touchdowns in Miami, dicing his AFC East rivals with terrifying ease.
They handle the rush this time. Brady going for Randy Moss in the end zone. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
The 2007 Patriots were the only team in history to finish the regular season 16-0. Brady breezed by the Jags, but things got tighter in the AFC Championship as he threw 3 interceptions. Then in the Super Bowl, it all came crashing down. The Giants' pass rush did the unthinkable, stopping the MVP in his tracks.
Brady in trouble. Down he goes. Brady in trouble again. Jump off the line by Strahan. Gets the sack. Brady goes down.
The New York Giants have broken the Patriots' 18-game winning streak.
The next season, Brady was lost for the year in the opening minutes. That meant it was Manning's time from there on out.
Going back to the corner, and it's Reggie Wayne, and the Colts have another touchdown.
In a down year for QBs across the league, Manning took full advantage. He completed 67% of his passes and threw for over 4,000 yards, leading the Colts to a 12-4 record. The vet garnered 64% of the votes, beating unconventional names like Chad Pennington, Michael Turner, and James Harrison for MVP honors. While it wasn't Peyton's best statistical season, it was one of his most clutch. He led the Colts on a league-high 4 fourth-quarter comebacks, none more impressive than a 17-point rally in 4 minutes against the Texans.
Manning throwing far corner of the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown! The Colts, 21 points in the last 2-10 to take a 31-27 lead.
But Manning's late-game magic ran out in the wild card round. The MVP was stifled on his final 4 drives as the Chargers mounted a comeback of their own to send the Colts home in overtime.
Here's Sproles. Sproles inside the 10, inside the 5, and the Chargers win the game. On they go to the next round.
But lo and behold, number 18 would bounce back yet again in 2009. Indy stormed out of the gates, winning their first 14 games as Manning led the Colts to a record 23 consecutive regular season wins. He also tied his own record with 7 game-winning drives and 7 fourth-quarter comebacks, none more memorable than this Week 10 masterpiece.
Manning for the end zone. Lane, touchdown!
At season's end, Manning became the first player in history to earn 4 MVP awards. The future Hall of Famer would make short work of the Ravens and Jets for the AFC crown. But in the Super Bowl, Manning made one mistake too many, sealing the game for the Saints.
Picked off. Look out. Gets past Manning, and it's Tracy Porter taking it all the way. Touchdown, New Orleans.
At this point, the league belonged to Brady and Manning. In 2010, it was Tom's turn to shine. After signing the league's biggest contract, TB12 went to work, passing for 3,900 yards and a league-high 36 touchdowns.
Well, they get to the line quickly, don't they? Brady goes for the big ball to Moss. He reels it in with one hand, right over Revis.
Brady was the first unanimous MVP in league history, dissecting opponents while leading the top offense to a 14-2 mark. But in the divisional round, the Jets clamped down on the league's best passer. Brady was sacked 5 times, and it took New England nearly 3 quarters to find the end zone. The Pats were stunned by their division rivals.
This one's a shocker.
Aaron Rodgers entered 2011 fresh off a Super Bowl MVP. It was only fitting then that he'd add league MVP to his list of accolades. The 7-year pro exploded for over 4,600 yards and 45 touchdowns. He completed 68% of his passes and threw just 6 interceptions, earning the highest single-season passer rating in NFL history.
Rodgers has it. He's rolling left toward the end zone, and touchdown Packers, James Jones.
The defending champs finished with a season-high 15 wins as Rodgers topped Drew Brees for MVP honors. But the tide turned quickly in the divisional round.
And on first down, a pump fake. He's stripped. Ball is out, and it is recovered by the Giants.
The near-perfect Packers collapsed against the Cinderella Giants. Rodgers earned his worst passer rating of the season, and Green Bay became the first team to finish 15-1 and fail to win a playoff game. A year later, we got another surprise in the NFC North.
Breaks another at the 30, and he's loose! Adrian's inside the 30, 20, 10, touchdown!
Just 8 months removed from knee surgery, Adrian Peterson put on one of history's best rushing displays. The star back defied expectations, becoming just the 7th player in NFL history to rush for 2,000 yards in a single season.
Handoff is to Peterson, gets by Raji, gets by Pickett, gets into the secondary. Now he is over 2,000 yards.
Peterson finished just 8 yards shy of Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record, easily winning his first league MVP. But the wild card Vikings entered postseason play with a backup QB. Peterson carried the load 22 times for 99 yards to be exact, but it wasn't enough. Minnesota fell behind early and never recovered as the Vikes lost in Lambeau. After a neck injury in 2011, some thought Peyton Manning would never play again. They thought wrong, like really wrong.
Manning lets it fly. It's caught by Thomas. There's the record for Peyton Manning. 51 touchdowns.
the new single-season mark.
At age 37, the Sheriff would deliver the gaudiest passing numbers ever seen. Manning broke Brady's single-season touchdown record. He also bested Drew Brees' single-season yardage mark, adding a 5th MVP to his resume. 55 touchdowns and nearly 5,500 yards, all in his 16th year. The top-seeded Broncos blew through the AFC, but were rocked by the Legion of Boom in Super Bowl 48. You remember that snap. It was over before it started.
It's snapped over the head of Peyton Manning. A flag is down, and the ball's out of the back of the end zone. And a miscommunication on the first play of the Super Bowl.
Manning was harassed from the outset, and a Malcolm Smith pick six put the game away in the second quarter. After battling a broken collarbone in 2013, Aaron Rodgers more than made up for lost time the next season.
Blitz is on, picked up, Rodgers floats it into the end zone. A reaching catch for the touchdown. 6th touchdown pass in the half for Aaron Rodgers.
The Packers won 11 of their final 13 games. Rodgers amassed over 4,400 yards and 38 touchdowns, narrowly edging out J.J. Watt for league MVP. A-Rod led Green Bay on a second-half comeback in the divisional round, throwing for over 300 yards and 3 scores. A week later, the MVP found himself locked in a wild NFC Championship bout. Seattle overcame 5 turnovers and a 16-point deficit to briefly take the lead. Rodgers would lead the Packers 80 yards in less than 90 seconds to force overtime before the defending champs dropped the hammer.
Wilson toward the end zone. It is caught! Seattle's going to the Super Bowl!
A new face entered the MVP conversation in 2015. Cam Newton was the 3rd straight QB to win the award, but the former Heisman winner didn't boast your typical accolades. While Newton threw for 3,800 yards and 35 scores, it was his legs that pushed him over the top.
Newton, quarterback draw, diving into the end zone for the touchdown.
In the playoffs, Superman soared past his NFC opponents. The Panthers made short work of both the Seahawks and Cardinals before Von Miller crashed the party.
Here comes pressure, and they've gotten to him. The ball is out in the end zone, and it's recovered by Malik Jackson for the touchdown.
Newton committed 3 turnovers, including a brutal fourth-quarter fumble, as the MVP couldn't close the deal in Super Bowl 50. A similar script unfolded in 2016, this time in Atlanta. Matt Ryan and the Falcons scorched opposing defenses all season. The 9-year vet exploded for nearly 5,000 passing yards and 38 touchdowns, earning the league's best passer rating.
Great protection. Looking down the field of the end zone, and it is a touchdown!
In the postseason, Matty Ice guided the league's top offense through the NFC with ease to reach a Super Bowl showdown with New England. At halftime, Ryan and the Falcons seemed poised to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. But we all know what happens next.
Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
The best passing season in Falcons history will forever be an afterthought as New England delivered one of sports' most shocking comebacks. The next year, Brady stayed locked in. Fresh off his 5th Super Bowl, the GOAT was back in the lab. He threw for a league-best 4,577 yards and 32 scores as the Pats clinched their 9th straight AFC East title.
Brady, pump. Brady rifles to the corner. Oh, it's caught! Touchdown! Incredible!
Brady earned his 3rd MVP award with 86% of the vote and stayed hot during the playoffs. He picked apart the Titans before erasing a 10-point fourth-quarter deficit in his 7th straight AFC Championship game.
Fake it to White. Looking around. Has time. Throws it. Did he get the feet down? What an effort! Touchdown, Amendola!
But a postseason record 505 yards wasn't enough to get past the Eagles in Super Bowl 52. Backup Nick Foles outgunned the legend as a late-game sack by Brandon Graham sent the Pats packing. As the 2010s came to a close, we saw numerous vets and rising stars earn MVPs, but our next name truly took the football world by storm.
Pressure now on Mahomes. He's in trouble. Now gets it away. Are you kidding me?
Patrick Mahomes, one of the most promising young QBs in the game, introduced himself with authority in 2018. The 23-year-old phenom became just the second player ever to throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns in a single season. Kansas City scored 565 points in the regular season, the third most in history. Mahomes was an easy choice for league MVP. After getting by the Colts, Mahomes went toe-to-toe with Brady in the AFC Championship. He manufactured a last-second drive to force OT, but never touched the ball again. The Patriots won the toss and marched to the end zone.
Burkhead to the end zone! Hello, Super Bowl, New England!
While Brady still reigned supreme, the next generation of signal callers had arrived. Following up Mahomes was Lamar Jackson, who delivered a record-setting season of his own in 2019.
Jackson takes it himself. Look at him dart back and forth. Oh, he broke his ankles. Now he's got an entourage, and he's got a touchdown. He is Houdini. What a play!
In Week 1, Jackson threw 5 scores and became the youngest player ever to record a perfect passer rating. He never looked back. The second-year speedster threw a league-high 36 touchdowns while dotting defenses with mesmerizing runs. He added 7 scores and a QB record 1,206 yards on the ground, all in just 15 games. For his efforts, Jackson became just the second unanimous MVP in league history. But the Titans were ready and waiting in the divisional round. Lamar still picked up 143 rushing yards, but struggled through the air. Down 14 in the third quarter, Jackson committed back-to-back turnovers, icing the game for Tennessee.
Stepping in for the interception, Kenny Vaccaro. And the Titans come up with another turnover.
In 2020, during an unprecedented season, the MVP choice was anything but. In his 16th season, Aaron Rodgers produced his greatest campaign to date. The Packers QB led the league in completion percentage, touchdown passes, and passer rating. And how about a 48-5 touchdown to interception ratio? It was a monumental year for Rodgers, who eclipsed both the 50,000-yard and 400 touchdown mark for his career. In the divisional round, the top-seeded Packers made short work of the league's top-ranked defense. Number 12 diced the Rams, punctuating the game with a late-game bomb.
Play fake here, though. Rodgers going for it all, looking to break it open. He's got it! Lazard, gonna go! Touchdown, Green Bay!
In the NFC Championship, he squared off with Brady in their first ever postseason meeting. The pressure came early and often for the MVP, who was sacked 4 times in the first half. Despite 2 second-half scores, Rodgers couldn't keep pace with Brady as the Bucs held on.
Bucs are gonna win this football game!
A tumultuous offseason left many Packers fans wondering if Rodgers would ever play in Green Bay again, but number 12 returned in dominating fashion, putting up gaudy numbers yet again. Rodgers led the Pack to a third straight 13-win season. The All-Pro tossed 37 touchdowns to just 4 picks, not to mention more than 4,000 yards, completing 69% of his passes.
Pass is caught. Lazard, touchdown! There it is. History for Aaron Rodgers. Career touchdown pass number 443.
Rodgers' legend grew with a 4th MVP, trailing only Peyton Manning for most all time. But just like in 2019 and 2020, the Packers' title hopes were dashed prematurely. Rodgers was sacked 5 times in the divisional round as the underdog 49ers went into Green Bay and stole a victory.
And this will be a 45-yard try by Robbie Gould to send the 49ers to the NFC Championship game. Kick was down the middle and good! 49ers win it! And this crowd and that Packers team is stunned.
As this list shows, an MVP nod is anything but a championship guarantee. We've seen record-breaking performances and career-defining moments, but it's a different ballgame come playoff time. An MVP is just one of 22 on any given Sunday, and that's why they play the games.